friends, welcome back or welcome if you're new here. My name is Stacy and I am the chapter conundrum. And in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about books that I have the most FOMO about, or just books on my TBR that I still haven't gotten around to that are insanely popular, or that I feel like pretty much everyone else in the community who loves the same things that I do at least has checked out and read. And I just feel behind, to say the least. So I guess it's like TBR of shame a little bit. And just so you guys know, I'm not including any books on here where I've already started the series. I feel like while there are plenty of sequels that I definitely have FOMO about and need to get to soon, they don't necessarily belong on this list, because at least I feel like in those cases I can contribute to a conversation about the series or feel like I have a taste of it. I definitely don't feel like I'm completely missing out. Like I sort of have an idea of what to expect. So anyways, you won't see any sequels on this list. Definitely let me know in the comments down below which books you think on here I need to prioritize getting to. I mean, obviously I need to get to them all. That's the point of this video, but which ones are like the ones I need to get to the soonest, or which ones do you think I'll actually have a really good experience with? Which ones did you love? Which ones did you maybe not love and think are overrated? I'm curious to hear all of that down below as we go through these. So without further ado, let's talk about some of the most popular things I still have not read. If you've been on the channel from the beginning, or if you know me from the Discord, you know probably one of the most egregious ones that's going to be on this list is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I still have not started Stormlight Archive, guys. I had a plan to start it this year so that I could kind of get to Wind and Truth quickly, but my reading plans for the year quickly changed when things became a lot more busy as I got married unexpectedly and have sort of unexpectedly picked up my life and started in a new country. But anyways, enough about that. This I need to get to soon. I think it's kind of funny. Like almost every year since like 2020, when I first started reading adult fantasy, I have said to myself, oh, I should start Stormlight this year. And every year it doesn't happen. So part of the reason I delayed it at first was that I wanted to read the other books in the Cosmere to go into this one with the most context possible. So I read Elantris and I read Warbreaker and I started Era 1, and then I took a long break with Era 1, finally went back to it, finished it, started Era 2, and now I'm officially ready to start this, but I've had such a busy TBR this year that I just haven't gotten there. So I think next year, hopefully 2025, will finally be the year I get to this. But interestingly enough, a lot of people don't think I'm going to necessarily love The Way of Kings. They do think, however, I will love Words of Radiance. But overall, I picture myself having a good time with the series, as I've enjoyed pretty much all the Brandon Sanderson I've read to date, and I definitely need to get to this one. So another staple in the adult fantasy book community would be Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. So Malice being the first one. And this is another one that's been on my radar for years and years, but I just haven't gotten there yet, or at least not finishing it yet. So years ago, I started this and I was really having a good time with it, despite how dense it was. But I only had the audiobook and I was having a bit of difficulty following. And so I put the paperbacks on my wish list and said, okay, I'll come back to this when I actually have the physical copies. Well, this year for my birthday, I was gifted physical copies finally and have them in front of me. So now I'm ready to dive in and properly absorb everything. I'm definitely looking forward to getting to this one. I do know that it's a bit faster paced for a lot of adult fantasy, which seems like it's going to be my cup of tea. I like that it's multi-POV and I am intrigued for sure. I think I will like this one. Another really egregious one that I haven't gotten to within the fantasy community yet is Malazan or Malazan. So Gardens of the Moon being the first book, of course. So this is one that I feel like almost every adult fantasy booktuber has read or tried at some point, and I still have not gotten there despite the opportunity to try with several read-alongs that I've seen come and go. I think for me, I'm a little bit intimidated by this one and kind of was awaiting until I was a bit more of a seasoned fantasy reader, because I do know that you don't get a lot of context up front for events in this series and you get really confused apparently, but it's intentional. I'm not sure I'm gonna love it. I think I will find things to like and find things to dislike, and one of these days I will get around to it for sure, but it just hasn't happened yet. I definitely need to, and I feel like this one is on the TBR of shame for sure. So more of a recent popular one that needs to be here is Dungeon Crawler Carl. It seems like everybody who has been picking this up and reading it lately absolutely loves it, despite that the people I've heard talk about loving it have vastly different reading tastes. And I'm somebody who always liked and enjoyed lit RPG to start with, or gamelit, and so this one has me intrigued. I definitely think I'm gonna really enjoy it when I get to it, and I just haven't gotten there yet. I do have the audiobooks on my Audible waiting for me. It just hasn't happened yet. I think that this will actually be a read-along on the Bookastromer Discord next year, so I should get to it soon at least. But definitely this one has been giving me FOMO just because of the sheer variety of readers with different tastes who have been loving it. I think I'm gonna really enjoy it when I pick it up. Another recently hyped popular book in the fantasy community that I haven't gotten to yet is The Will of the Many by James Islington. And a lot of people compare this to Red Rising, or think that people who love Red Rising will also really love this. And having read the synopsis of this, I can definitely see where they're coming from. I don't think I have come across anyone who did not like this one, and that definitely has me intrigued. I think I will really enjoy it when I pick it up, and I need to get to it for sure. Somebody tell me in the comments, is this one that I should pick up soon, or should I wait for the release of the next book, perhaps? Whether I end up waiting or not, I'm definitely very curious to read this one, have high hopes for it, and it definitely belongs on this list of books that are giving me the most FOMO. So one that isn't necessarily the most popular in the adult fantasy booktube community, but that I think I will really like when I get to it, is A Book of the Ancestor, or Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. So I have previously read Broken Empire by Mark Lawrence, and books 1 and 2, Prince of Thorns and King of Thorns, are some of my favorite fantasy books still today. So I definitely think I'm gonna have a really good time with this when I finally get to it and pick it up. I'm also just very intrigued by some things about this one that I've heard in passing. So I know that it's set on an ice planet, and that it's like assassin nuns, or nuns training to fight and be assassins or something. But yeah, I'm very curious to pick this one up. I think I'm gonna have a really good time with it when I finally get there. And this one has been on my TBR for so long. It's definitely a TBR of shame candidate at this point, and I definitely have FOMO. So let me know if this is one that you think I should prioritize soon. So next up, an indie fantasy that I heard a lot of buzz about when it was first coming out, but that I haven't heard too much on lately, but that I still haven't gotten around to, is the Threadlight series by Zach Argyle. So from what I know of this, it has a very interesting magic system that is probably going to draw me in very quickly. And I also know that it's multi-perspective, and that some of the people with similar reading taste to me really enjoyed this, and other people with similar reading taste to me in fantasy liked it but didn't love it. So I'm very curious to see which camp I fall into here. It is definitely about high time I pick this up and start it. It has been on my want to read for so long. So one that's kind of recommended more on the side of book talk, but I've also seen a few booktubers read and enjoy this one and highly recommend it. One Dark Window. I have yet to try this out and pick it up. I have had a library hold on this come in, and I've had to delay it because I've just had so much else going on my TBR, but I'm definitely very keen to get to this one at some point soon. I think the way people talk about this one and the way people describe it, it sounds like it's gonna be something that plays into my reading taste and that I'll really enjoy it. And I actually haven't looked too much into what the plot of this one is about because I want to go in not knowing so much. The cover does look very interesting though, and just the way people talk about it has me intrigued for sure. I definitely am feeling the FOMO. Veering into more fantasy romance, one that definitely has me intrigued that I want to pick up soon is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, the first book in the Crowns of Nyaxia duology. I'm not sure how to pronounce it yet, but I'm sure I'll find out at some point. From what I know of this, it involves a deadly tournament and vampires. And also people with very similar reading tastes to me really love it. It definitely has some tropes that I enjoy, like the deadly competition involving magic or magical beings, I'm pretty sure this also goes in the direction of enemies to lovers, which has me curious, but definitely I am keen to check this out soon and have been feeling like I'm missing out. And speaking of fantasy romance featuring vampires, the last book I have to talk to you guys about today definitely falls into that camp, and it is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And this is one that I picked up on Audible years ago when it was part of a 2-for-1 sale, and I had intentions of buddy reading it with a few people on Greg Lippard's Discord because he had some kind of bet going that when he hit 750 subs, he had to pick it up and read it. But then he hit 750 subs and life got in the way and he stopped being active on his channel, and this buddy read along just never happened. So I never picked it up on my own. And then the way people talked about the third book in the series had me questioning whether I should, but I definitely am still interested in checking the series out because I do know that people adore the earlier books in the series, and people have said that the newer installments in the spin-off series that I think are required reading are great again as well. So I think there might just be one dud of a book in there. But yeah, this is one that I've seen so many people talk about. So many people compare it to other fantasy romance books that I have read and really enjoyed, like ACOTAR, for example. And the way some people with similar taste to me talk about it, I do think I'm really gonna enjoy this when I finally pick it up. And I definitely feel like I have been slacking and that I will miss out on something if I never pick it up. So yeah, that was it for 10 books that I have the most FOMO about, or 10 books that are basically on my TBR of shame at this point, popular books that I still have not gotten around to. I probably could have extended this past 10 books, honestly. Like, I still haven't read things like Fourth Wing, which is wildly popular. Fortuna Sworn maybe could make this list. But anyway, instead of continuing to shame myself for all the things I haven't read, I have been busy reading and I have accomplished a lot with my reading. Mainly, I'm curious to hear you guys say which of these you recommend I should get to sooner. If there's any you think on this list that, you can kind of skip that, it wasn't really that great. Let me know all those things down below in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!